welcome to this edition of Small Businesses, Big Opportunities. For this episode today, we've come to Kolkata, the city of joy, which is said to be in love with culture, intellectualism, not greed. There is a warmth of genuine humanity, and of course, we have the Hilsha, Shandesh, and the Rasagullas. Again and say Shagatam. From the banks of Hooghly, we'll focus on the issues of banking. Is the banking matrix in India allying with the small and medium enterprises? Is it smooth sailing or is it choppy? And what better place really to talk about the banking issues than Kolkata? In the year 1806, Bank of Calcutta was born right here in Kolkata, and today it has grown into the mammoth State Bank of India. Today we travel a short distance from Kolkata to the southern part of the 24 Parganas. At first glance, this looks like the entrance to a small tailor's shop, but looks can be deceptive. Take a step inside with me and meet the 32-year-old proprietor of this business.
मेरा नाम अमीना बीबी मंडल 18-19 साल से यहाँ रहे हूँ। मेरा हस्बैंड है, 2 लड़की 1 लड़का है।
This is Amina's shirt manufacturing unit in West Bengal, a unit that can manufacture around 150 shirts a day. A unit that is typically classified as an MSME, a micro, small and medium enterprise.
यहाँ बिजनेस में 7 लोग रहे, बाहर 10-11 लोग काम कर रहे, और यहाँ बॉटम का सिलाई हो रहा है।
Amina is not the only entrepreneur in this part of the 24 Parganas. In fact, the whole area is a garment cluster. Amina's husband took the cue from his neighbors and started the shirt unit in 2001 with a capital base of 10,000 rupees. Amina joined the business in 2005 and discovered she had quite the flair for it.
बचपन से मेरा शौक था, तो मेरा माने पैसे नहीं थे, इसलिए मैंने शादी के बाद मेरा हस्बैंड का साथ लेकर मैंने बंधन से लोन लेके मैंने स्टार्ट।
The SMEs today are breaking conventional business molds. The social ceiling is being reached as well. But one problem remains, which is access to finance. At the same time, while these SMEs are like aspirations with little tender wings, access to finance remains a big hurdle, and banks clearly, even today, are not really jumping out to help them get access to finance. A December 2015 joint study by CRISIL and ASSOCHAM of 12,000 CRISIL-rated micro-enterprises with a turnover of less than 1 crore rupees finds that access to institutional finance remains the biggest hurdle to growth for this segment. Access to institutional finance for meeting working capital needs is as low as 15%. A good 59% of the promoters relied heavily on own contribution. 26% relied on supplier credit. Institutional finance accounted for only 7% of the working capital needs of those with a turnover of less than 50 lakhs. We are here right now in 24 Parganas in Kolkata, where Amina actually managed to get a loan of about 10,000 rupees from Bandhan, which was actually a microfinance institution earlier, which is now a bank right now. And that time from an MFI, she could get a loan because she was lucky enough to have her husband's service, which actually served as some sort of a guarantee when she wanted money, and that to just 10,000 rupees. Amina refers to Bandhan as an integral part of her entrepreneurial journey. Bandhan Financial Services Limited is the largest microfinance organization in India.
With 2,022 branches in 22 Indian states and union territories, Bandhan Financial Services Limited has got a loan book of 9,524 crore rupees as of March 31st, 2015 and a repayment rate of 99%. On the 23rd of August 2015, Bandhan Bank was born, the first instance in India of a microfinance entity transforming into a universal bank. Bandhan Bank started with 501 branches and 50 ATMs on day one. But at the core, Bandhan Bank's charter is to finance the dreams of many more Amina Bibis.
ভবিষ্যতে আমার আরো বড় ইন্ডাস্ট্রি করার ইচ্ছা আছে, এটার জন্য আমি ফাইন্যান্সের বেশি পাই তাহলে এটাকে আরো বড় করার চেষ্টা করব।
Bandhan Financial Services, which used to be a microfinance institution, in fact the largest microfinance institution in the country till about a couple of months ago, is now a full-fledged bank here in Kolkata and very slowly and gradually spreading its wings all across the country. We're now joined by Mr. Chandra Shekhar Ghosh, who's Managing Director and CEO of Bandhan Bank. Thank you very much, sir, for talking to us here on NDTV.
Thank you to you.
Your bank has been one which has been formed at this point in time when formal finance remains a big challenge for these small and medium enterprises. But your priority area is small and medium enterprises only in the country. Tell us, firstly, why is it that banks really shy away from lending, and why are you really focusing on small and medium enterprises?
No, if you see that the banking penetration in the country on that, every one citizen have the bank account, but every 7 citizen have the credit account. So in that sense, the credit penetration is not that much in the low and medium segment on that. So in that sense, we see that if you go to the total data of the country, the 95% of the MSME in that out of the total country enterprise. So if any bank will be not focused in this area, so country GDP will be not come to that much grow on that. So for that reason, and second reason is there, Bandhan Bank has been working for the poor segment and the small and medium enterprise on that because of they have need, we know their culture, and we have the skill to understand their reality, and we can be serve them.
In terms of looking for a collateral, do you also really seek a collateral, or do you use schemes that are available in SIDBI and Mudra where collateral free loans are available? So do you seek collateral from these people, because that's another big issue that they have?
No, I believe on that collateral cannot save the money. Only people's commitment and dedication can be save the money. So what we are doing on that, we are very closely touch with them, and interaction with the regular basis. We know their profile and know their growth. So when my people involved with their growth, so they are automatically committed to repay on that, not the collateral issue on that. If you say that this is the 70 lakhs of my customer, those we have given the loan, so they are totally collateral free, but their repayment is this. So that means proved it, the collateral cannot be save the money. Save the money if money utilized properly, if the commitment is there, if the bank person will be very closely touch with them, so then they will be also like to happy to repay back.
Right. Tell us about Bandhan Bank now, the way it was formed, the main objective that it carries right now, and what are its plans going forward. You've got about 27 branches at this point in time. You've become a bank from a microfinance institution. What next? What is it that you're now working on?
No, I can be rectify the one point on that. We had 2022 microfinance offices.
Okay.
Now we have the bank branch 591.
Okay.
If you together on that, that is the 2,500, 600 you can say that, 2,600 outlet we are serving the people. So that we have not the plan on that the big number of branch now. We are like to use this network to serve the people more and cater the people.
So your focus now is going to be entering into more and more tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and what are your credit growth targets going forward?
No, of course is there the metro and urban tier 1 is very good enough of the banking penetration. We are also, along with this, we are also focusing on that semi-urban and rural and unbanked areas, which is 71% of our branch in that areas. So we'll be like to focus on the tier 3, 4, 5, 6 on that. So that is good. And there is a good customer is also, we'd like to build up this customer habit on that to come to the credit and repay that.
All right, sir. Thank you very much for talking to us. Thank you. We are slipping into a short break, but after the break, we'll talk about the importance of credit rating for small and medium enterprises.
Capital is like oxygen for a business. Even small businesses like Amina Bibi's shirt making unit in West Bengal need timely and adequate capital to grow. The most comprehensive review of the finance needs of the MSME sector was done by the International Finance Corporation in 2012. IFC estimated the total finance requirement at 32.5 trillion rupees, of which debt is 26 trillion and the equity demand is 6.5 trillion rupees. IFC breaks down the 26 trillion rupee debt needs. 27% of it is funded by banks and NBFCs, 35% is ineligible for financing, and 38% is unmet demand.
As of today, MSME contributes just about 22% to our GDP. That is to be taken to the next level. That is part one. Part two, if you ask me, public sector banks typically, our also the lifeline is MSME sector, because if I'm talking about my bank, which has got about 4,096 branches as of today, 62% of them are in semi-urban and rural areas. So ultimately, my hinterland is this segment, which is MSME. And take this argument further from the country's point of view. As of today also, whether we talk about the manufacturing sector, whether we talk about the employment, whether we talk about the export, the contribution of this sector has been greatest. And most importantly, when we talk about MSME, that is one segment of the industry where it's more possible to distribute in a very equitable manner the national resources.
Fast forward to 2015, a year when the bad loans in the Indian banking system acquired center stage, and micro, small and medium enterprises felt the impact, and banks became wary lenders. Data from the Reserve Bank of India shows that outstanding credit to the medium-sized industrial companies dropped to 1.13 lakh crore rupees as on October 30, 2015 from 1.24 lakh crore rupees in October 2014. That is a degrowth of 9%. Compare this data from March 2015 to October 2015. A degrowth of 10.9% is visible. Lending to the micro and small sector also slowed down to 3.7 lakh crores, a growth of just 4.9% compared to 16.5% growth in the previous year. Now compare this data from March 2015 to now, and you will see a degrowth of 2.6%.
The SMEs are not given that importance which banks are giving to the large companies. Number one, they said if we have to process 5 crore loan proposal, we have to spend some time, and same time we can process the 100 or 200 or 500 crore loan. This is a very interesting thing, and a very important thing. Banks are not having faith on SMEs, particularly manufacturing SMEs. Currently, those are starting their manufacturing unit. Banks are not lending, or banks are not considering their proposal on time.
There are some who contest the claim that banks are reluctant to lend to MSMEs.
I'll talk about three segments which has been driving our growth: retail, agri and MSME. And in terms of growth, if you ask me, for the last 5 or 6 quarters on a trot, we have been growing about 24-25% CAGR. A. B, if these three segments are put in one basket, in terms of percentage, these three segments have gone up from 44% of my domestic loan book to now 51%, 52%. That says by itself that we have been quite considerate, quite sensitive to these sectors.
Exposure to MSMEs varies from bank to bank. A review of the most recent data in the public domain shows that MSMEs are a sizable chunk of the loan book of some banks. They account for 13% of the loan book at State Bank of India and for 20% of the loan book at Bank of Baroda. And yet, the popular perception is that MSMEs are high risk because often they have no formal legal structure. They are vulnerable to economic trends. There is a risk of elongation of working capital cycles, and the books of account are often inadequate. One route that has helped build confidence is a credit rating by an established agency, a necessary first step for building credibility among investors, lenders, and even customers.
I think there are a lot of perception issues in terms of the SMEs. I mean, people could have doubts starting from do they really exist, their identity, and then related to that is the whole issue of the health of that SME as well. People have perceptions around whether they maintain their books of accounts and how clean and stuff like that. So I think what a credit rating process does is to sort of help bring out these aspects, covers these aspects, and talks about how well the SME is doing. And therefore it helps the formal sector and other credit institutions which wants to lend to this sector. So I think that's the second aspect of why I think the credit ratings are important. Lastly, I think while it's important to know that how an agency or how an SME is doing, but it's also very important to see it in the context of their peers, what we call as a peer benchmarking, as to how well they are doing amongst their peers. So I think this is again something which is covered in the credit rating process, and therefore any financial institution or bank is looking to lend to these SMEs. I think all these three aspects that I talked about is covered well in our credit rating reports, and therefore it helps in lending to these institutions. In addition to lending, I think our rating can also be used to price the product quite well of whatever lending they are doing. Therefore, it helps in pricing them as well.
CRISIL, on its part, has tied up with 40 banks that recognize CRISIL's credit rating process. About 30 of these banks are offering concessional rates of interest linked to the actual score. The MSME Ministry also offers a subsidy to those opting for a credit rating. That's just one of the recent policy initiatives to provide financial support to the sector and accelerate its growth.
Government of India and the CDB has come out with a scheme called the guarantee mechanism, which will be given to all the lenders who will be on behalf of the borrower, and this borrower up to 1 crore of the loan amount, if they are getting it, then partial guarantee will be extended to the lenders on behalf of the borrowers. And this particular mechanism, it gives a sufficient comfort so that the credit risk is mitigated to great extent, and then the adequate amount of credit can be extended to all the deserving micro, small and medium entrepreneurs. These micro and small entrepreneurs especially, they need a special attention. As a result, the CDB in 2000, we set up a credit guarantee trust for the MSE. And this trust is providing the partial guarantees to right now to all the banks. They are MLI, they are member lending institutions. And as a result, you will find that right now we have crossed more than 1 lakh crore of the loan, cumulative loan amount has been given through this particular trust, and more than 20 lakhs of all the entrepreneurs, they have got benefited out of it. Now the awareness which I can tell you that in terms of this particular facility which is available, more than 20,000 crores of the loan amount has been given as a guarantee, partial guarantees.
Other government schemes like Make in India, Startup India and Stand Up India are expected to strengthen opportunities in the sector. But it is Mudra that will directly impact MSME finance.
So Mudra has a corpus of 20,000 crores provided by Reserve Bank of India from the private sector shortfall allocation. So this 20,000 crore allocation is available with Mudra, which is used for lending to the banks, NBFCs, MFIs and other intermediaries, financial intermediaries who are engaged in financing this micro segment. So that is a major role right now Mudra is playing. Apart from this, Mudra was also as an ecosystem facilitator. It is also taking several steps. One of the steps which we have taken is that to introduce a product called Mudra Card. A Mudra Card is basically a hassle-free credit product provided to the small micro entrepreneurs for having a flexible credit facility. Because you know most of the small segment entrepreneurs, they need more of working capital. So there is no such mechanism to get a working capital limit. I mean, as I said, most of them are outside the banking fold or the formal credit system. So many times they have to borrow heavily from the informal money lenders at heavy cost. So if there is a product which can give them a flexibility wherein they can borrow as and when they need and also repay as and when they have funds with them, that would be the best thing to do. So that is how the Mudra credit card was thought about, and it has been introduced, and it has been introduced as a RuPay debit card because it is hosted on the NBCI RuPay platform. In the budget itself, there was a mention that about 3,000 crore fund is being created for the purpose of Mudra credit guarantee scheme, and that is also under finalization. It's almost the final stages, and Government of India has to approve this. So these are some of the things which we are doing at the moment.
Schemes abound. The challenge is in educating MSMEs so that they can truly benefit from these schemes, and that is still a work in progress.
And with this, we wrap up this edition from Kolkata. A little wish for all our viewers in Bengali, Bhalo Thakbe.